Coming up on today's show.
About a year and a half ago, I woke up one morning and I couldn't move my mouth.
Were there any early warning signs? Did you kind of know that you were getting maybe to the tipping point, or was this kind of a surprise to you?
You have to change your mindset before you even take any steps. So you have to decide, I'm going to do what I can to get better.
Take care of yourself before you get organized. Today on Keeping You Organized. Well, hello, welcome to Keeping You Organized. You know, this show is all about helping you get organized, and we give you organizing tips, advice, all kinds of things. But, you know, once in a while, if you try to get organized and you're not quite in the right frame of mind, or maybe mentally or physically, things don't often go that well. So we're going to bring on the super organizer himself, James Lott. Hey, welcome back to Keeping You Organized.
John, I'm so glad to be back. I love talking to you guys.
Well,
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, you know, we've got this idea, you know, self-care is kind of floating out there a lot, you know, in different, you know, podcasts and things we've talked about before. But today we're really going to focus on kind of what keeps us from getting organized when we're not taking care of ourselves, or if we're trying to help others too. Because like in your case, you help others as well get organized. But if you're not in the right frame of mind, either, you know, mentally or physically, it's difficult. So let's get a little background on this, because I think you have a story to share here.
I do. I do. About a year and a half ago, I woke up one morning and I couldn't move my mouth. And I was like, this is really weird. And I had an earache that just wouldn't go away for the past 2 or 3 days. I'd taken all these things that you'll get rid of it. It didn't work. Went to the urgent care, and it turns out that I was having a case of Bell's palsy. And my whole left side within 3 days went paralyzed.
Oh.
So I had my whole face, and I documented this journey online. You can go on all my pages, you can see my journey online. I was paralyzed on the left side for about almost a year. So that totally sidelined everything, but it came from extreme stress and not taking care of myself. That opened myself to a virus, which led to my Bell's palsy. And that woke me up completely about how I do business, how I help myself, and how I help others.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, and when you're in a service business where you're helping others, and you're not quite together yourself, what happened to your business? Did you have to just tell clients, I can't help you?
Yep. I literally couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't see. I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't talk. I was in a lot of pain. I had to literally stop everything. That day, I actually had an interview with somebody to do later that day, and I had to actually type in somewhere, I can't do the interview. I mean, like, it was completely stopped. They tell you to not do anything and to take these certain drugs and things to get started. I caught it early, so I was trying to help myself. But see, with Bell's palsy, it happens to everyone differently. So you could be done in 2 weeks or 10 years. So I had uncertainty. I had no idea when to go back to my business, but my clients were wonderful. I have some great, beautiful, compassionate clients who were like, okay, James, you got to take care of you. We'll be here when you get back. And they were. And so literally I had to stop my business.
Oh my goodness. Now, were there any early warning signs? Did you kind of know that you were getting maybe to the tipping point, or was this kind of a surprise to you?
It was a complete surprise to me. I mean, we've all been stressed out, right? We've all had times where we were like super stressed. You get really tired, or you get a pain or a pain or an ache, and you just go, oh, okay, you take some aspirin, or you have a glass of whiskey or something, and you get over it, right? You know, it's kind of done. So I'm sure there were. I don't know if at this point, I don't know. Just the earache was the first thing, kind of. But I had had a stressful past couple of years prior to that, personally and professionally. So I guess there's something there. Probably I just wasn't listening.
Right. Well, just based on that alone, if you could go, rewind the clock, say, 2 months prior, what would have you maybe done differently? Or are you doing some different things now than you weren't doing before just to help manage this?
That's a great question. You should be an interviewer. Um,
I play
that's a
one
great
on
question.
I play one on the internet. That's right.
Exactly. It's like you're really good at this. You should try it. No, it's seriously. So yes, if I could rewind, I would have stopped. I would have did more self-care then for myself. Massages, going out in the garden, things that I do now, going out in the garden, drinking teas that help you calm you down, eating certain foods. There are a lot of things I would have done prior that I do now that I'm like, wow, if I just done a few things that might have stopped it. But the number one thing I tell everybody, your body does talk to you.
Mm.
So listen to your body. And that's the one thing I wish I had always done. I didn't listen to my body. And now I listen to my body.
Yeah, give me if you can an example of that. Like where would it manifest? You know, sometimes it's like headache or what do you when you feel like that stress coming on or whatever is this trigger? How does your body communicate to you?
Again, it can happen for everybody. It's slightly
Right.
different, but usually it's headaches. Sometimes it's like a cartoon.
Yeah.
You can tell when you're upset. Sometimes you can feel the level go through your body and literally go from bottom to top. Like I always tell people from your chest tightens to your neck, to your face tightens. You feel a warmth sometimes. It's like really like a cartoon.
Yeah.
I can tell when I'm getting stressed. Sometimes your eye will twitch or your lip will twitch. Many of us have had that, and it's like that's a sign of extreme stress.
Right.
That's really what it is. And then sometimes it's a headache or a migraine or things like that. Now, it could also be other things too for those things. But for me, anxiety, stress, usually heavy breathing, palpitations. There are many things that come for you that and they go away sometimes. You feel them for a little bit and you go, oh, okay. But literally, you should listen and go, okay, I shouldn't have palpitations. That's not a good thing.
Right.
I shouldn't have lots of headaches.
Exactly.
And then you should, and that's what your body really does talk to you. It does tell you. Stomach aches sometimes. Some people hold their stress in their stomach. They say trust your gut.
Yeah, right.
A lot of times, a lot of stress is in your stomach. So you get I'm like, I can eat, but I didn't eat anything today that was crazy, or I didn't do this that was crazy. That could be stress.
Right. Yeah, and stress is inflammation. I don't want to get this into a medical show, but I know it's one of those things where it affects everything. I mean, and it can be, if it gets you in the neck or whatever, and that affects, your spine, which affects your nerves, which affects, all of a sudden your hands doing, and that's with like Bell's palsy too, right? You get the facial. Did you say the one side of your face was paralyzed too, or the whole side of your
Left
body?
side, the left side of my face was paralyzed.
Yeah. I've had
you bring up a good point. I'm a former nurse.
Okay.
So it's not like I don't know the body, but I was just reminded how connected everything in our body is.
Right.
I couldn't sneeze. I couldn't cough. I couldn't smile. I couldn't blink. There were things I couldn't think. It affected my equilibrium. So I couldn't always stand sometimes. I'd get dizzy. I'd get vertigo. Like there were so many things connected to everything that you're like, oh. So I tell people all the time when they get like sciatic nerve problems.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your sciatic nerve is way low down. It goes all the way up your back. I mean, it goes up your leg. I mean, everything is connected. And that's what I was reminded of when I had those problems.
Right. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break. I know there's a great ending to this story, and we're going to find that out and we'll also give people some other things that they can think about so that they don't get in the situation where they're trying to help themselves or help somebody else and they can't do it. So we're with James Lott, the super organizer himself, and we'll be right back.
The summer sale is back with 15% off all organizing products from myorganize.life. 15% off easy-to-clean bright poly file folders. 15% off all files and poly envelopes for your projects. 15% off file jackets. 15% off report covers. 15% off our popular 24 pocket organizer. And even 15% off Smead Red Rope wallets. The summer sale is back. 15% off everything. Now at myorganize.life.
We're back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about how to take care of yourself first before you get organized. Before the break, we're with James Lott, the super organizer. And so, James, you had this episode, but you're looking good right now. And so tell us how you first of all, was it medicine? What got you out of the Bell's palsy? And then I want to move into kind of some, again, warning signs or things that we can do to to be listening to our bodies, and before we try to help ourselves or help others?
Good question. So I turned 50 last year. That helped a little bit. I felt like I had a goal. I was like, I'm turning 50. I really do want to change the next half of my life. I kind of divided my life into half. I was like, well, I'm getting to a point. It's a major milestone. I'm not going to let this Bell's palsy keep me down. I was depressed for a while. I mean, it's very depressing. It's very lonely. And it's like, you can't communicate. And my whole world is my mouth.
Right.
I use this to make money. I use this to communicate. So mindset was number one. That was the first step to anything. You have to change your mindset before you even take any steps. So you have to decide, I'm going to do what I can to get better. And I'm going to trust in the results, and I'm not going to put time on it. Those things are hard to do, but they can be done. So when I did those three things, change my mindset, decide I'm going to do my best to get better, trust in the process, and not worry about the time, then I was able to start the process. So I started doing a lot of research. Hello, Google. Hello, all these things. Now be careful when it comes to Google and stuff, because there's also a lot of other information.
Right.
But I saw things that I talked to my doctor about, because Bell's palsy, you can't really do much about it. So when you first get it, they give you 2 weeks of prednisone, which is a steroid, and 2 weeks of acyclovir, which is for the virus. So you take that for 2 weeks, and then that's it. They say do that and rest. Really, nothing else. I went online and I found that because I had inflammation, that's what caused the Bell's palsy and the nerves to drop. So treat inflammation. So I found foods rich in vitamin B6 and B12 and avoid these certain foods. And so I started doing that and talking to a nutritionist at the same time to make sure I was still getting the calories that I needed and what I could do. Now, plus I couldn't chew properly. That's another thing you don't realize when one side of your face is not working because you don't want to choke. So I also had to find out, how I couldn't drink out of a straw.
Right.
I couldn't put my lips together. So it's like, so it was a very messy process at first, those first months trying to eat. But I would mash things up. So I really did a lot of research of just kind of how to get myself better. And I literally rested. That was what they told me, rest. Now, my ear was sensitive, so I couldn't hear a lot of noise. It would hurt, but I'd have the TV on low. I'd watch comedies, things that were happy, things that were, benign, and watching nothing serious. So I found that stimulated my brain to want to laugh. I couldn't, but I felt warm inside.
Right.
I could literally feel my body with certain shows I would watch that made me feel like, oh, okay, I'm okay. I can get through. And another thing, I literally worked myself moment to moment. I had to break everything down to how I felt that second, that minute, that hour. And I would treat it. So I felt some anxiety. I go make some chamomile tea. And then the chamomile tea would calm me down. If I felt some pain, I would get a warm washcloth in my face. Like there were things I had to handle as I went along. But I did a lot of research on my own, mixed in talking with doctors, nutritionists, and I joined a couple of Bell's palsy Facebook groups.
Right.
And I got a lot of information from them.
Yeah. It's really, it's interesting how the emotional and the physical are so tied together. So just the idea of watching, humorous shows and there is a healing in humor. I mean, and that's
literally there is.
Yeah.
I can attest to it. I literally, people are like, you look great. I'm like, these are things I actually did that really worked.
Yeah. So tell me about how when you felt like it was ready to either help getting yourself organized or helping a client, what was the length of time from when you were diagnosed to when you were good enough to actually start helping others?
10 months.
Ooh.
I know. It was not fun. 10 months was when I first was like, okay, I can start to reach back out to the world. I made my first appearance on television. I mean, my first appearance on radio, and because I have all these, I have followers. They say fans, I call them followers. Right. I have people who watch me, and the industry was watching me. NAPO, which we love very much, was watching. Everybody was watching me to see when James Lott Jr. was coming back. So I slowly, and I had anxiety. I had major anxiety. I got palpitations. I got nervous because I wasn't sure how my mouth was going to work. It felt better, but I wasn't sure. I mean, it was very nerve wracking, but I'm glad I pushed through it. But about 10 months, and I did the shows first, and then about 10 and a half months, I contacted my first client, and I said, let's start slow. Like, let's do maybe a 2-hour session. I usually do 3 or 4. Let's do a 2-hour session. And she lived nearby. So I was like, I don't want to go too far. I wanted to start slow. And my motto in my business is small steps lead to large rewards.
Yes.
So I took my own advice. I said, take some small steps. And I did. It did lead to large rewards.
Wow. So that's great. So when was that? When did you start with that first client? How long ago was that?
So now, about 10 months ago.
Okay.
About 10. Because I actually left LA, where I live, for 4 months to recuperate.
Wow.
Also.
Okay.
I had a home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which I love, my Pittsburgh folks. And I really relaxed back there. And I just I felt safe in my home there. Yep. It's peaceful back there. It's not as crowded as LA. I feel like all my troubles were in Los Angeles, that kind of sense of feeling.
Right.
And so I felt better. I came back home in February of last year.
Okay.
And said, let's get this started.
So what are you doing now differently than you were doing before? I know we talked about, but let's recap some of those things that you can do to take care of yourself now that you've been through this experience and don't want it to happen again.
Listen to your body, listen to your brain, listen to your gut. Those are 3 big things there. They're all talking to you. Listen, they're telling you. So when I listen to them, I do some of the following. I have a giant garden at my house. I go in the garden. That's my sanctuary. I pick weeds. I water plants. I pick berries. Wherever I go to the garden without my phone, without a laptop, that kind of stuff. And I go out there for maybe an hour or 2, and that calms me down. I go get food that I like sometimes. So I go get food. I was like, I feel like I have some comfort food tonight. Make me feel good. That's really great. I drink certain natural teas that really do affect how you feel. There's a bunch of kinds out there that are just so calming or soothing, or put you in the right mind. And they're all natural. They're all natural. And so I love those. I stop. If something's too much, I stop.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Stop and take a breather. Take a breather. It could be a 5-minute breather, 10-minute breather, a whole day breather. There's times I woke up and I'm like, okay, I had a stressful day yesterday. Today I will not be stressed out. There's also times when I will schedule, because I do my whole business differently now. I will schedule not too many things in one day like I used to. So I may have a morning full of stuff, but the afternoon off, then vice versa. Or I may have something in the morning, nice healthy break in the middle, something in the afternoon.
Nice.
So I make sure I'm not just running around and running myself ragged again to the point where I'm like, I'm so stressed out, and then I'll come back again. Right. So those are some of the things that I actually do.
Well, this is a great story of taking care of yourself, recovering, and now you're back to a new way of working too. I think that's really cool. So before we go here, why don't you let people know what you're up to now and how they can get a hold of you? Throw out your website.
I'm so glad you have me back on the show. I'll come back anytime you guys want me to talk about anything. I love it. This week, or whenever this comes out, I will have celebrated 11 years in the organizing business.
Wow.
And I started from scratch. I started from client to client to client to where I am today. So the superorganizeruniverse.com is my blog, which this month celebrates 6 years of me doing that. I have all these milestones happening right now. My radio podcast is called The SOS Show with James Lott Jr. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spreaker.com, and iHeartRadio. It comes out every Monday. And this year I celebrate 5 years of doing that in June. And then I have a organizing Christmas show. Yes, I do. An organizing Christmas show on the Christmas 24/7 channel on YouTube. Go there. I have 12 episodes out, all kinds of fun stuff and interviews and things. And I give organizing tips every single episode. So there's just a few of the things that I'm doing right now.
Well, James, this has been great, and it's so good to see you're back in the saddle and your great energetic self, and to know too that you're taking care of yourself. And I think we can all learn a lot from this, and I would encourage people to go back to our show notes and really just take those points we put out there, because this can really help you. So, and we will have you back again, I'm sure.
I'd love to. You guys are great. I'd love to.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Now you know how to take care of yourself so you can get organized and take care of others and help them get organized as well. But take the advice, take some self-care, and come back next time right here on Keeping You Organized.